So I was born in California, actually, so I'm a California kid to a degree. I still have a lot of family in California, but raised primarily here in Wyoming. I ran away for a few years, and then in my early adulthood, and then was dragged back kicking and screaming. I'll just give you my mother's version of it because I think everyone has their own. She said I was the most amazing child growing up, that I was the easiest to raise, so easygoing, willing to do everything. And that was me as a child. But you know, one of the other parts was what was I like in high school?
Yes, that's the second part, so you can tell me that.
Yeah, that's pretty much where Andy got a little rebellious. I was my father and I didn't see eye to eye, and often, and so I became pretty rebellious. And so I would say a lot of Andy that's today is probably that mix of what I was like, probably as a youth, but then forged with a lot of rebellion and feistiness, if you will, from my early adulthood.
Did you have
My father was very, you know, so he was a very strict disciplinarian, so I picked up plenty of that on his side. But from my mom, that ability to be so firm, because she was, but probably the most caring individual ever. So I always felt such alignment with that, with my mom, that she would be like, Andrew, you'll be working on this, you'll be doing this, and then, but I love you. And then she was all in. My mom was always all in. And so I took a lot of that, especially with my kids. That was a big piece for me to say, no, I'll be, my father's kind of sprinkled in there a little bit because I'm kind of a little more rigid on that stuff with my kids, but a lot of it came from my mom. My kids will always tell you, like, if dad's all in, oof, dad's all in. He's, you know, you get all of his emotion, you get all his passion, you get all his dedication, tears, the whole bit. So they get the entire, I'll call it rainbow. They get all of it. Yeah, full spectrum indeed.
Yeah.
You know, I mentioned my geniusness in my youth and having children so young. It was funny, I was just talking about it the other day. My oldest son was, my wife at the time was 24 weeks pregnant when he was born. So my oldest son was 1 pound 7 ounces when he was born. And so I was 19 years old, way not equipped to deal with any of those things. And then, of course, I turned right around and less than 20 months later decide that, you know, I'm ready to have another bundle of joy in this world. And so both of those experiences forged me into saying, no matter what I do, I have to push harder. I have to push constantly, that there is no room for failure. I will drive and I will strive because I want the absolute best for them. And so it happened to me at such an early age. So a lot of people I know that, you know, either went to college or they, you know, they enjoyed their early adulthood to levels that I didn't. I had that, I already had a pretty good work ethic installed, but that was a tremendous driving force into pushing for more and how do I work to achieve. So I think there were a lot of factors along the way. I was also always an incredibly curious person. So when you have endless curiosity, you're always wanting to know more.
Yeah.
So I would say, though, the biggest driving force would probably be, if I had to look at, you know, 'cause there's probably a million things that forge us to where we get today. That was a pretty big one for me.
Yeah.
I've been in credit unions for 23 years. That's the one piece I tell everybody all the time. So my career path just happened to be across 3 different credit unions. Started that way when we were stationed at the Naval Base in Great Lakes, Illinois, and so working my way from lending in the contact center to consumer lending to indirect lending. Then that's what actually I started here at a credit union here in town, who shall remain nameless, just kidding. So I worked there and started that indirect lending program for them, and then I wanted that curiosity and that change and wanting a different challenge is what led me to information technology. And that career path ultimately led me here, and then continued on until up to a couple years ago to take another new journey, which has been an incredibly exciting one with member services, digital services, and marketing. It's been a road.
Yeah. institutions?
Wow, I would probably tell you the thing they'll find here at Blue versus other financial institutions is kind of that deep sense of camaraderie. It's not that other financial institutions don't have it, but I've talked with people and I've worked at institutions, not necessarily here but abroad, that you haven't really felt that. Like you always get, there's always a couple of team members like, oh yeah, I talked to this person, but it's like, no, this is this division, this is this division, this is this division. I feel like you can come here and talk with anybody who works here and have great relationships across the board. And we see people who leave and come back because they're like, well, there's something about this place when you're working with all these people. We're all here working together, and I think that's the part about it that I love the most. It's what's kept me here for a long time. I built some great relationships here, but I could build great relationships other places. But I think it's about the fact that we support it and build it culturally.
It's kind of collective.
I hope Blue is the choice for members in 5 years. And when I say, I shouldn't say hope, I want us to be the choice. The landscape is constantly shifting and changing. I mean, it's always been competitive. It's not like financial services just became competitive, but the landscape is shifting to such a crazy dynamic with everything on the online channels, with everything on non-traditional institutions. Those things just didn't even exist before. So when I'm looking at what Blue can be in 5 years, I want to position everything so that we're the choice they make. And so that's where I want to see us in 5 years. So I was thinking it'd be more like Mission Impossible, meets The Avengers. That's kind of the way I would describe my life in film titles, mainly because it's like challenge accepted. There's nothing I won't throw down for, so I'm all in. And usually it's because I got a great squad to go with me. So it's like there's the most insurmountable force possible. We're all in. We'll figure it out. We'll kill it. So that'd be me. That's how I describe me. So I wrote down a couple just to kind of mix it up a little bit. So Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, I could almost do start to finish. Wedding Crashers, my brother and I quote that movie all the time. It's one of our tops. And Uncle Buck, if you remember good old, John Candy. Oh man, that one. I think he's cooking our garbage. Yeah, love it. Anyway, so those would be a couple. I absolutely have a least favorite exercise. And you think for a guy who's, like I said, I'm a bigger guy, so I would hate ab workouts. Nope, that's not it. Lunges. I 150% despise them. They actually make me angry. It's probably the only thing that I work out. I can't stand them. I know they're necessary evil and they're great and all that. I hate doing them. I hate how my knees feel afterwards. I hate everything about them.
Do you do them anyways?
Yeah, because I'm a punishing individual, but but I'm mad. I'm really angry about them when I do them.